Have you ever met the connector? Well, he ponders, he helps, he creates, he writes, he speaks. He basically connects people and brings them together. I speak about Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group. At psandallmarketinggroup.com, you will receive an assembled group of Paul's contacts and connections that cross into many sectors of life. Please contact Paul Solano at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com if you are in the market for a wide array of services. Again, please contact The Connector, Paul Solano at 617-240-4130 or psandallmarketinggroup@gmail.com with any questions. And now, here's Paul Solano, the host of Paul Ponders.
Welcome to Paul Ponders. My name is Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com. Thank you for joining me for my foray into podcasting. It is great to be collaborating with my friend and associate Chalonzo Amos of PodPro Entertainment to bring you some fun, exciting, and informative podcasts. For many years, I've been referred to as the Connector, or in Greater Boston circles as the Connector. With psandallmarketinggroup.com, I've created a side gig to connect you and get things done. Please sit back and relax and listen to today's podcast. If you are driving or operating heavy machinery and just listening, then please just listen and stay focused on your task at hand. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy my ponderings. Let #PaulPonders begin. Greetings, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Hope everyone is doing well. It's another episode of #PaulPonders. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for rating, reviewing, subscribing. And again, great shout out to Techie Talonzo behind the curtain, behind the window. He's there. He's Techie Talonzo. PodPro Entertainment, #PodPro Entertainment. And if you have a chance, check out PodPro Entertainment with all the other fine podcasts that Techie Talonzo has produced with his wonderful array of guests and community partners. Well, again, I want to thank you all for really just rating, reviewing, subscribing, and stopping me, as I always say, on the streets, at Pearl Street Station Restaurant, at Wegmans, at Super Stop and Shop, and just saying, Paul, what a great episode you had last week. Great job. It was a short episode. It was a long episode. It was a great episode. But really, I want to thank you for being a listener and subscriber to Paul Ponders, #PaulPonders. And also, too, I want to give that shout out to Scott Albertson of Project142.org for his great collaboration, and he is promoting Paul Ponders and PS and All Marketing Group. Thank you, Scott. Scott is in Connecticut. He's also very involved in the New York area, the New Jersey area, and he really has a really broad reach across the country. So if you have a chance, check out Project142.org and what he does. And Scott Albertson, great job. So if you want to check out Scott's website, it's Scott Albertson, Scott with one T, and Albertson, SON. So this is episode number 34. And if I hark back to episode number 4, we had a very special guest, dear friend, who was able to, in fact, join us and promote his book. So we've gone from episode number 4, we'll say Bobby Orr, to episode number 34 for Paul Pierce. But I want to welcome James Norris, Executive Director and founder of Handi Capable Fitness in Malden. James, welcome back.
Paul, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. It's an honor.
Well, thank you, James. It's really great to have you here. And when we reflect back to when we had started the Paul Ponders in the episodes, you were one of my first guests, and it was just an incredibly well-received episode. And that's a true testament to what you do. So if you want to let our listeners, if they haven't heard episode 4, please check out episode number 4. But if you just want to give us a brief overview of what Handi Capable Fitness is all about.
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of the elevator pitch, but so Handi Capable Fitness is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is to help those with physical disabilities lead a fit and active lifestyle, however it is that they determine to do so. So we give grants for things such as fitness equipment, gym memberships, travel grants to and from different events, really anything that is going to help them enrich their life and lead an active lifestyle despite their disability.
That's a very good summation. That is quite the elevator pitch, and I thank you for that, James. So we had talked about your book. You had your first book. You released that book, and I believe the name of the book, off the top of my head, was Feeling Left Out.
Ding, 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 you're the winner.
All righty. Could I double that? Could I try to double that with book number 2?
Sure.
All righty. Book number 2, which I believe you released earlier this year or late last year, if I remember, is entitled Feeling Accepted Coast to Coast.
Man, you are on a roll. I think you should go buy one of those Powerball tickets.
I think I will. Absolutely. So if you want to tell us about Feeling Accepted Coast to Coast.
Okay, so perfect. So Feeling Accepted Coast to Coast picks up where Feeling Left Off, no pun intended there. But so basically it chronicles my move to California and kind of the struggles that I dealt with through that process. But I also added a little bit of the coronavirus, just even though I myself didn't go through that. I wanted to touch upon it because in today's day and age, I feel as though that the kids could really relate to something like that. And we called it the lonely bug because we couldn't call it the coronavirus. But I think the lonely bug pretty much sums it up really well, because that's frankly what it did to all of us, right? So, Jimmy talks to his classmates through virtual learning, and through that whole time, they start to tell him, that they feel lonely because they miss their friends, so on and so forth. And Jimmy was able to use his coping mechanisms that he's learned throughout his life, because I feel as though a lot of Handi capable people deal with a lot of isolation. So he was able to give them a couple tips and tricks on how to deal with that, whether that be art, scuba diving, hiking, those sorts of things. And he was really able to help his classmates through this difficult time. And then towards the end of the book, they start to talk about his move back to Boston, which we will pick up in book number 3.
Book number 3. And are you at liberty to talk about what book number 3 may entail?
Oh, I have to talk to my agent. So hold on. Can I talk about it? Do you give me permission?
You may briefly touch upon that. It's a tease now.
Okay, perfect. So book number 3, talks about Jimmy and his dream to go into broadcasting school, and what it's going to take to get him there, and who, what really drew him into broadcasting, some of his favorite broadcasters. But make no mistake, there's challenges that come along, in this book as well that I will not get into. You'll have to pre-order it at handicapablefitness.com here real soon. But I'm really excited for the masses to get it and to learn the lesson that I've packaged in this book.
That is fabulous. And I know you've been quite successful. For our listeners out there, this is just no rinky-dink book. This is not 2 rinky-dink books. This is a bestseller. This is really a powerful book that is actually in at least one local school system, and it's being sold all over the place, all over Amazon, all over the United States.
It's very humbling because, as I said in the first podcast, if you remember, it was never on my radar to write a book. Never mind 3 or 4 or 5 books, whatever it is. So it's always very humbling when I see that somebody tags me in a post or tags Handi people in a post, showing their children reading it, or, their grandkids reading it, or whoever, so it's very humbling. And I just want to say thank you to those people.
Oh, that's awesome. And for our listeners out there, I believe over 3,000 books have been sold thus far. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's awesome. Congratulations, bestseller. Hashtag author James Norris, right?
Thank you, sir.
Now that you're quite welcome. Now, you had mentioned something about a coping mechanism, and we're going to use that as a segue. And the thrust of this podcast is going to be on that coping mechanism that you have discovered and you've become a master at, and that's scuba diving.
I thank you, but I think mastering or a master is too strong of a word. I am a novelist, I'll say. Still have a lot to learn, but yes, it's definitely turned into be quite the coping mechanism for me, and so a challenge that I'm welcoming with open arms. There we go. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. So if you just want to, I have never scuba dived. I've seen many scuba diving classes at the old Malden Y. I remember the Aqualung Center. I remember the Scally family in Malden, just always putting on some wonderful courses. And I've seen scuba divers. I've thought about doing it, but I've never had the courage to try to scuba dive. So just tell me, what was it like when you attempted your first scuba dive?
Well, let me backtrack a little bit, and let me tell you kind of the origins of how I got introduced to it and that sort of thing. So my best friend, Erica Walker, who is the executive director of a veterans nonprofit based in Oklahoma City, called Warriors for Freedom, called me up one day and said, "Hey, we're doing a Discover Scuba event. Would love to have you be a part of it." So I was like, you know what? I think you're crazy, but at the same time, I think I'll do it. And when I tell you it's the best thing I've ever done, the first thing that I've ever done, and I've been involved in fitness, I've done things like Spartan races, I work out every day, go to the gym, do jiu-jitsu, that sort of thing. But scuba diving is the first thing that I've done that shuts my mind completely off. When you're under the water, you are simply just thinking about breathing. You're not thinking about all the life things. Oh, I have to pay this bill. I have to call Paul back. I have to do this. Oh, shoot, I haven't heard from this person in a while. It's just simply you under the water and you're just breathing.
Wow. Powerful. Now, you just recently returned from a trip to Oklahoma City. And what happened in Oklahoma City as far as your scuba diving goes?
We did more training to get me ready for a trip to Cozumel here in about 2 weeks. So I did my pool dives, kind of learn some skills and the necessary training that I'd have to do to get in the ocean. There's still a little bit more work to do before I'm certified, but that's why I'm going a day early to get those all taken care of. But super excited to have my first dive in the ocean, and hopefully I don't become shark food.
Wow. Well, let's hope not. Boy, that's wow. That's quite a statement. I don't know what to say in that. For once in my life, I'm speechless. That doesn't happen often in my life. But anyways, so I believe that this episode will be airing before the end of April of 2024. And I believe you have a little fundraiser coming up about a dive trip. If you want to tell us about that.
Yes. So we are giving away a trip to Bonaire. It's a 7-day trip. You don't have to scuba dive. If you're not into it, you can just go on the vacation. It includes, like I said, 7 days, breakfast. They'll pick you up at the airport, rental car, all of the things. And then if you do dive, all the dives are included. So it really is a tremendous prize that one lucky winner will receive.
That's awesome. But I just want to be clear on that. So could anyone purchase tickets to win, and can it be transferred?
Yes, they can. They can, and they can do so at handicablefitness.com. Each entry costs $25, and then if you'd like to give it away to somebody, a loved one or what have you, we can definitely make that happen.
That's great, and that goes until the end of April, right?
That is correct, and all proceeds go to fund our mission to do things such as what I said previous. So it's grants, it's equipment, whatever it is that our handicapable athletes may need.
So do you plan on making this a programming aspect of handicapable fitness?
That is in the works. I'm still trying to hash out the details, but I know what scuba diving has done for me. I've seen what scuba diving has done for our military and first responders population in terms of, coping with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, so on and so forth. And I really feel that there is a space for it in the handicapable population. In fact, I'd like to give him a shout out. There's a gym, or it's called the Scuba Gym down in Orlando, Florida. They work with individuals that have autism. And it's, they do use scuba diving, but it's more of a therapy based setting. So they go under the water, and as I said, it's completely quiet. So all their sensory, challenges get shut off, and under there they can focus on puzzles or learning or whatever without all the other distractions that land provides.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, is there an organization that certifies you on this, or how does this work out?
Yes, there's a couple organizations. Like for instance, there is the PADI Association of Diving Instructors, and they are worldwide. And then, as far as it goes with handicapable people, there's a great organization based out in Chicago called Dive Heart, and they have their own certification that an individual with a disability or their buddy can get certified so that they can go under with this individual and be able to take, assist them and take care of any of the needs that they have. But they literally work with anybody and everybody. So you can have cerebral palsy, a spinal cord injury, you can be visually impaired, completely blind, deaf, whatever it is, they can get you under the water. And if you'd like to know more, you can visit diveheart.org. And then there's a great documentary on YouTube called Adapting to Dive, and I would highly recommend checking that out if people are interested.
That's fabulous. That's really interesting. That's really very cutting edge stuff, if you will. That's awesome. So what else? James, you are just an incredible athlete. You are an incredible person, and you really, really seem to have a nice passion for the scuba diving.
I do, because you know what? It is about me, but I'm more passionate about seeing other people benefit from something that I benefited from, and what my friends and family have benefited from. It's kind of like when we find something, right, that whether it's a medicine or a fitness routine that's really worked for us, we want to share it with other people because we want them to experience that. And that is exactly what scuba diving has done for me and my inner circle.
That's tremendous. Now, speaking about that inner circle, I believe that you were telling me a week or two ago that you attended some sort of conference or something in Danvers.
Yes, so that was great. That was called Boston Sea Rovers, and we did it with one of your friends, Paul C. Shorter from Gawking Whale. I believe he's been on the show. He introduced me to a lot of great people, and that's where I met the travel company, Buddy Dive Resort that has donated the trip to Bonaire that we are giving away to one lucky winner. And it's been a great experience. Undersea divers, East Coast divers, they've all been amazing and supporters of Handi Capable and what we're trying to do here with the scuba diving venture.
That is tremendous. But I've heard that skiing, and I've never skied, water skied, but I've never snow skied. I hear that snow skiing can be an expensive pastime, hobby, whatever. But how expensive is it for all the equipment you need for that?
Oh, it's scuba diving?
Yes.
Yeah. It can be pretty pricey. Anywhere from, $1,500 all the way up to $20,000. It just depends on, what it is that you need. There's different equipment that do different things. Depending on what type of environment you're gonna go diving in, that dictates what kind of equipment you need. But it definitely is not a cheap sport. That's for sure.
Wow. So I think it's really important, for our listeners just to, in fact, make note of the need to really support handicapablefitness.com, I believe.
That is correct.
So that's Handi, if you want to spell that out, please.
That is HANDICAPABLE fitness, FITNESS.com.
And everyone could go into that website and check it out and just see what other great things you're doing for so many wonderful recipients, if you will.
Absolutely, but let me just add something. It's not me, it's we, because I am just the face of it. I wake up and I do the networking, but it wouldn't happen without so many other people behind the scenes. So anybody, whether they've donated $1, click the like button on any of our social media posts, or donated thousands of dollars, it all goes into the same pot, and it is greatly appreciated.
That's tremendous. And I do know that you have an incredible social media presence. How many different platforms are you on?
Let's see. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.
And I think you're on YouTube as well?
YouTube as well. I knew I forgot one, but
There we go. And of course, you're on Paul Ponders, right?
Of course. That is the catalyst to everything that makes Handi Capable Fitness go.
You're much too kind. What's that? Episode number 4, Bobby Orr, to episode number 34, Paul Pierce, huh?
And we gotta give the World Series hero, Mr. David Ortiz, his credit too.
That's true. Maybe he's going to be mentioned as one of your heroes in the upcoming book, huh?
Who knows? You're gonna have to pre-order to find out.
And how do you pre-order that book?
HandiCapableFitness.com.
Okay. Now, who's your publishing company?
Author House out of Bloomington, Indiana.
I see. Well, that's great. And I think there's a 4th book coming, maybe?
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but it's safe to say that is a pretty strong possibility.
Do you care to even allude what book number 4 will be like?
Sure. Book number 4 is going to focus on my adventures with the Spartan Obstacle Course racing community, and the creation of Handi Capable Fitness, the nonprofit.
Interesting. I think people may have to start pre-ordering that as well.
You know what? I think you're right. I think you're onto something.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, James Norris, just a quick aside, I think there's probably going to be a book number 5 out of 5 somewhere along the way. You never know.
You keep upping the number there. I like that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to keep you away from those sharks in the water in Mexico.
No shark food?
No shark food, yes. I'm glad you took the bait on that one.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, Paul, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, James, it's really great to have you on again. And how do our listeners reach out to you, with the exception of the website? Do you have an email address?
Sure. It's James, just my first name, at handycapablefitness.com. Or like you said, you can go to the website, handycapablefitness.com. There you can find out what we've done, how we can help you, how you can donate, how you can book me to come speak to your students, your after-school programs. I am here to be of service, and there you can find out how we can connect and make that happen.
That is absolutely fabulous. Hashtag fabulous. We'll put that in, okay? But James Norris, thanks again for being on, and look forward to hopefully hearing some results of how successful your fundraiser is going to be with the wonderful trip to Bonaire. And hopefully book sales will continue to thrive and maybe double the 3,000 you've sold already in books number 1 and 2.
I like the sound of that.
Absolutely. Well, that just about concludes this episode of Hashtag Paul Ponders. James Norris, Handy Capable Fitness. Thanks again. Thank you for listening, subscribing, rating, reviewing. Hashtag Indeed. I trust that you have enjoyed Hashtag Paul Ponders. Again, my name is Paul Solano of PS&All Marketing Group, and I may be reached via email at paul@paulponders.com to do some more pondering. Many thanks to my longtime collaborative friend and associate, Alonso Amos of Pod Pro Entertainment, in bringing you our fun, exciting, and informative podcasts. You rock, Techie Alonso. With PS&All Marketing Group, I created a side gig to connect you and get things done. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me at paul@paulponders.com with any questions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paul Ponders. Follow us on Twitter at Paul Ponders Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Paul Ponders Podcast. Thank you again for listening to Hashtag Paul Ponders, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our website, paulponders.com, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment, Hashtag Paul Ponders lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. Hashtag the new radio. Until we meet again, my friend, stay well. Hashtag Indeed.